Today on the Dream Big series is Peter Goral. Peter is a social media business strategist. He's known for the tagline, the amplifier of your brand identity. I met Peter a while back strictly through LinkedIn and started realizing there was something definitely different and unique about this guy. I met him through a friend of mine, Monty Clark, and I started watching his content. And then Monty did a podcast interview with Peter, and I'm like, man, this guy is absolutely full of life and energy, and I had to know more. I wanted to know what made him tick. And so as I started watching his LinkedIn and eventually started some conversations, Peter gave me some advice. Actually, he didn't even give it to me. He gave it to Monty on the podcast, but it completely revolutionized how I think about content, especially on LinkedIn. And I changed how I was going to do things from that point on. I started investing into other people's posts with my own content more than I was putting into my own content. And I started recognizing that it was making a difference. I mean, it was not only impacting people with the words I was saying, but I would write things and get done with it. And I think, that was pretty good, because it came from my heart. And so I would take it and I'd copy and paste it into my Google Docs and use it to repurpose at a later time. And those are some of the best responses of content that I've actually posted, is the one that I've repurposed that I was using to invest into other people. So our conversation today is different because Peter is not really in the music industry. He is an artist. He's all about your brand, your personal brand. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but today is just a really relaxed conversation with Peter. And we get into some interesting things, and I think it's just going to be fun for you to listen to. But I do believe you'll get something out of it, and I am looking forward to your comments. Peter Goral. Nice. What are you interviewing him for?
A sales role.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll kind of have to filter in with me a little, because I drive the business development strategy, so she'll be a component of my efforts.
Awesome.
I've been up all night almost. Because they have a department in India, and of course,
Wow.
that's like an 11 o'clock call on the marketing. So I've got a call with the marketing team at 11 o'clock. And then the CEO invited me to a project meeting on a new client. And that went from 12:30 to 1:30. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well,
interesting times.
You're amazingly alert under the circumstances.
I am. Coffee and biscuits, and I'm actually, I'm pretty sure that I'm a human anomaly anyway. If there's such a thing, like some people that just call me an idiot and be done with it, right?
Yeah, come on. Nobody's used those words, have they?
The thing is, I say to Monty just a little while ago, at least when I jump on a Zoom call, I'm dressed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the people that I've seen on some of these, these cluster calls,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like who gave you the freedom card, right? Like you should dress like an idiot or not get dressed at all.
Right. Yeah, it's really I treat it as my excuse to shower.
Yeah. Well, I saw you get up that one morning where you played guitar and but you admitted, you said, I haven't even showered. I'm just gonna play this thing, a little thing in my head.
Yeah, see, it's okay then.
Yeah, I know.
I'm owning it.
Yeah, I liked your post on the beach with the Jeeps and the music.
Yeah.
It's real nice. Yeah.
Man, that we're putting that stuff together for my brother and I is pure heaven, you know,
Yeah.
just because, well, first of all, most of us are at home right now.
Yep.
And so just being able to, like for me, he sent that track over and it was just I'm trying to remember, there was not much to it.
Hmm.
There was like a drum beat and maybe just kind of like a little bit of a soundscape beneath it. I'm like, man, this sounds like totally like a Chris Isaac song.
Right.
Uh, so,
Yeah.
that's how I started. I just like played that first part thinking Chris Isaac. Then it goes into the next part. And I'm like, all right, this is not Chris Isaac anymore. It's a little more rocked up. And
Yeah.
sometimes, man, I get done. I turn it up and I stand up and I jump up and down. And I'm just like so excited. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I was hoping for.
It's one of those building tunes, like, and it
Mhm.
doesn't quite crescendo. It stays somewhere really, really cool, and I almost like it. It's once you get to the collective, it
Yeah.
seems to reach back from where it started without losing you.
Hmm.
You can tell I listen to music, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it reaches back and it brings you back up almost like a second wave, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah. That sounds exactly like any really good critique would say.
Oh,
It's like
well, there you go.
perfect, you know.
I've been known for some things, and now I'm a music critic now. All of a sudden, yeah, yeah. I
And
don't think so. I think I'll keep my day job.
well, I mean, I don't know. Is it? I'm not sure music critic pays that well anyway. So
No, well, so many of my friends that are musicians are now playing from their living room, and in
yeah.
fact, uh, a lady that I work with. Um, I think I may have told you I do the social media for the South Coast Jazz Festival,
Yeah.
which is about an hour south from me. It's towards the lake,
Hmm.
and she just let me know she's going to be doing a concert from her living room. So, on Facebook Live, and I've seen so much of that. It's pretty inspiring, actually, when you think about it, because we've gone the way of keeping kind of their relevance, to their fans. It's actually a really good way to go
Yeah,
about it.
for sure.
Um, yeah, like for instance, I'm not on them all the time, but every afternoon at 4 o'clock, Michael Bublé and his wife are on
Hmm.
Facebook Live. So that's 4 o'clock in Vancouver, where he
Right.
lives, and it's 7 o'clock here. And he just gets on and he's super friendly and super approachable. And
Yeah.
they play games, and they speak to their fans, and they call them out. And so I think business needs to do that very same thing,
Mm,
right? You got to keep your fans alert. Like, if there's ever time for a collective effort, it's really, really now.
yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And it's what I'm enjoying is seeing how creative people are getting with just how they're doing it.
yeah.
There's a guy here in town that um, this week set up acoustic solo on a sidewalk and ran a line into an FM transmitter that was sending basically what he was playing to radio station signal for the cars that were coming and parking in the parking lot.
Oh,
So
wow.
and his Facebook Live camera was set up behind the stage, pointing out, so we could see the cars, and there
Okay.
was car hops going out taking orders for barbecue, and he'd get down to the song, and people would start honking, and
Yeah.
anyway, I interviewed him yesterday, I think, because I wanted to talk to him about this, and he
Right.
said like some of these days he's making more in virtual tips than he would normally make in a day, you know,
Wow.
and
Wow.
and it's just a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
um, it's so unique, and in his opinion, he thinks that what's happening right now with this live music and all this online stuff is going to do to the industry what Napster did to the online, like
Right.
the
Yeah.
the online music
Mhm.
sales and stuff. So
Well,
it'd be interesting.
I think, yeah, I think David Bowie said it a long time ago that he felt that people were going to be the content,
Mm,
right? He said, you're going to, as a musician, you're going to be the content. And that you're going to want, when you do a live audience gig, you're going to want them in there. They're going to be they're going to want to be part of that community. They're going to that effort. It's going to
mhm.
be seamless. And I think I've seen, I've seen that industry go that way a little bit. Where people are actually more. They throw themselves. I mean, not just in a mosh pit or something. They throw themselves into the crowd. That you
Yeah.
literally come down very often and walk through the seats, say hi to somebody, almost even
Hmm.
serenade them a little bit, things like that. So I think there's been a softening or maybe a blurring of the lines between who's the audience and
Yeah.
and what's the show. I think the show and the audience have become one and the same. You feel that way?
Yeah, well, I do. And so like we booked a show with Berlin coming up here this summer. Do you remember that band?
Yeah.
So it was, those contracts are always pretty thick, the writers are.
Mm-hmm.
But in that rider, the thing that was non-negotiable was the spotlight, because Terry, the singer, they're like, she runs all over the place. She's going to be down in the crowd. She's going to be singing to the audience, and
Wow.
that spotlight, it's got to be there. And so
Amazing.
I thought that's cool. You know, I
That
can't
is cool.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to see that show. That's
No,
going
I
to
like
be
that a lot. Yeah.
so.
So what are you doing for fun?
Well, I'm playing those guitars a little bit. That's
Yeah,
fun.
I bet. But I can still see you're using your brain because you're pumping some really cool stuff out on LinkedIn and getting a lot of really good response to it too. So that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
fun for me. When I wake up in the morning, I mean, I think you and I have talked about that alpha state.
Yeah.
And if I will just, man, just try to not force myself out of that right away and just lay there and just let things come,
Hmm.
that's usually when I get the most response on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Um,
Amazing.
and it's not just response, it's thoughtful. Like
Yeah.
this stuff impacted me. I appreciate you saying this. I can relate to this, those type of things.
100%. 100%.
So,
Actually, it's funny, I went to bed late the other last night because I was up, like I say, on this call with India, and I actually wanted to get back up again about an hour after it got down because something crept into my head
mhm.
about an email campaign that I was working on, and I did everything to resist me
Yes.
getting up, right? Because I knew I needed the rest because I had another day's work to get done. But as soon as I got up, I mean, I went straight to the journal and I like dressed it and I pumped it up, got it ready, and sent it off to the client. Like it was like
Yeah.
it was almost like I dreamt the volume and the capacity, and I
Mhm.
almost I could almost hear the responses. That's how vivid it was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I mean, I don't know what that is. I mean, that's a mystery to me to think that
Mhm.
your subconscious has a hold on you like that and actually takes over and writes something, right?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Do you, I would think some musicians are like that, where songs are concerned too, right?
For sure with songs, but I guess what I really notice happening at that time a lot of times is what a lot of times I'm giving a keynote talk when I'm in that spot.
Right.
And I'm talking about things that are really, really personal and important to
Right.
me. And so I remember, like this morning, I actually had one of those happen this morning, and I remember laying there. It's like, I don't want to forget this.
Right.
Um, and at the same time, I'm thinking, I've never told anybody this story. Maybe I do want to forget this.
Well, my my friend Ryan Foland would encourage you to say that story because he's all about ditching the act, right?
Yes.
Like just come out with it, and he's kind of right. Like there's certain degrees, of course, in which you're going to share.
Right.
Um, but the reality is, if it's something that that's like normal, like
Mm-hmm.
that everybody is probably going to do, I mean, everybody seems to stub their toe, uh, spill a drink, get a pimple on their head. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? And if
Yeah.
it's one of those kind of things, hey, it should be pretty easy to talk about, and then have somebody say to you, "Yeah, I had that. That
Yeah.
that bothered me too. How did you feel about it?" Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason I can't be quiet about it when I finally do, end up in that spot, because I know that it's not going to be one person that has had that story happen. It's going to be a bunch of
Right.
people,
Yeah.
you know.
No, for sure, for sure.
And
Did
it's
you give the speech? Did you actually give that talk or?
well, I wrote it out. I wrote it out this afternoon, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I normally do with that, is that it's actually, I'm, I'm using the same document that I created to follow your advice with. The document where I copy content out of LinkedIn that, as
Right.
when I'm, commenting on other people's things, all
Yeah.
goes into one document. And I'm putting it all in that one space because I think it's going to be part of a book at some point, and I think it's going to be part of
Okay.
a bigger story. And so I just keep adding to that, and that's where that story went today. But
Wow. I'm liking that. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I actually sounds like it's good. Well, sounds like it could be a really good session. Something for you to look forward to in maybe July. Can we get out of this thing in July? Do you think? I don't know. I don't know where it's heading. Like, I'm right now I've seen cancellations into June already.
yeah,
So I think maybe the summer, maybe hopefully the summer,
yeah,
because that it will be horrendous if it's past the summer, because people want to get together in the summer for
right.
barbecues and things like that. That is going to be painful if we have to hang out by ourselves, with a
Yeah.
single with a hibachi and just do a burger. Oh man.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping for mid-May. I'm going to be
Yeah.
optimistic and hope for that.
Yeah.
I've got one client. They have a winery here in town, and she was telling me that she
Mm.
got a call from somebody in Leawood, which was only about 20 miles from her. And she's like, she told this lady, she goes, do you know where we're at? She goes, we're clear on the west end of Olathe. And the lady from Leawood goes, I don't care. I am putting my kids in the car, and we're driving out there.
Stop right now. There'll probably be a patrolman watching you do that right
Yeah.
now. Oh my heavens. Well, we've got a beautiful day today too here, which is really, really great. So maybe it's a good sign that, that we're getting into some better weather. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can see the sun shining through here. It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and they're saying, that it's the sun and the heat and
Yeah.
warmer temperatures, make the whole thing better. And
Yeah.
man, I'll tell you, I finally got out on my bike the last couple of days, and
Okay.
it was wild. I don't think I've ever experienced bike rides where I was breathing air in and just enjoying the air so much.
Right.
Just it, and,
You
and
need
I,
one of
I
those,
was gasping at the same time.
you need one of those drones following you now,
Yes.
so you can put some music to it, like
Right.
charity to the gods kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so crazy. Like we're in strange days, but I'm finding like my one client actually just responded beautifully. The real estate client responded
Hmm.
beautifully this week to an entire virtual home buying package. Beautiful job, pulling things together, pulling resources together.
Mm.
I mean, it's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be business as unusual, actually, is probably going to be the new catchphrase the fact is, it can still get things done. And real estate is real estate, finance, all those kinds of things, legal, those things are all essential.
Yeah.
They keep the fires burning, right? They're the businesses that keep the fires burning. Technology. Anyone who's
Hmm.
in technology that's associated with managing and correlating data, like uh, thank God for them, right? In a
Right.
sense, because they're keeping the healthcare system alive and finances alive, those kinds of things. So actually, good clients to have right now are technology clients, and particularly in the healthcare because they want to share, and hence the reason I actually was fortunate enough to sign another client, that in technology because he said, in a sense, the default is sitting in the corner and sucking your thumb and letting the world fall apart, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's a great time to lead,
Mm.
and you can lead in different ways. I mean, you don't need a pile of troops behind you. I've seen some really, really cool things come together, even on LinkedIn and on Zoom, like people coming together and saying, hey, how can I help you?
Yep.
I just did, it went overtime when I think about it. I gave him an hour, and I think we went over 2 hours. A guy who just wanted to be kind of talked off the ledge,
Mm.
right? He's just kind of saying, hey, he goes, I'm trying to do this. I just left a corporate job. I took this job, I've opened my own business. And he actually said in his email to me, I'm terrified, right? So when I read that, I just said, okay, I'm talking to this guy, right?
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And I said, yeah, by all means. And you know what? Really smart young man with his head on right and the whole bit. um, and I think by the time we were done, he was like, whoa, like new life, new breath. I just heard from a friend of mine who's from San Diego and he's come back to Toronto. And, you know, he's in the finance business. Nothing, I mean, it's disrupted.
Hmm.
And like mortgage rates are down and primes at like 2.5. Like, it's like, holy cow, if you're going to do anything financial big, like now's a really great time,
Yeah.
right? Because the gains you'll have,
Yeah.
you know, are amazing, right? When it all settles down, right?
What is a virtual real estate package?
So, well, what they'll do is, first of all, they go out with cameras and they walk you through the house, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Imagine if you will, even using Zoom or WhatsApp or something like that, or like some kind of an app where you actually talk and walk through the house, right? You can
Hmm.
actually do it. In most cases, virtual tours are actually the norm
Yeah.
right now. When you can go on, there's always a link that kind of takes you kind of a bit of a drone look, of your
Hmm.
house. Well, they do them. They do them with the agent. There's nobody around the house. First of all, wipe everything down, gloves and the whole bit, like all the yeah, all the things looked after for the safety. But they'll walk through and they'll talk you through. Look, hey, look, this is a really cool cabinet, and it's
Hmm.
built into here. Hey, take a look at the color, whatever, the size, and and then they'll and then they'll start transferring documents. They'll start, you get financing online. Mortgages are cheap right now. There's a lot of
Hmm.
really subprime kind of things available.
So
So it's kind of a big wrap, a big package. It's everything from looking at it, advising it, in some cases, you probably might put a clause in it, till you actually see it. Like,
Right.
there might be a clause in it till you actually run into it.
Hmm.
But think about it. There are people who were caught in the middle. They were probably in transition. They might have just sold something the week that everything closed down.
Hmm.
I mean, and Rob, you can't go to your parents, you can't go to your sisters, right? Because you're told to separate. You've got to stay your own way. Maybe you can get in. I know that some of the hotels are giving away rooms
Yeah.
to the first responders and things like that. So that might be a situation where you'd end up having to take a room in a hotel. But think about how expensive that would be. Like,
Hmm.
put a big dent in your budget you might as well walk through and buy a house, for heaven's sakes, right? So, I
So
mean,
are people actually making the decision to buy just simply off of the virtual tour?
I think that's happened before. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the norm,
Right.
but I know that there's been situations, because you've heard of these companies that they transfer somebody in from out of country or something. I
Hmm.
mean, even prior to this, there are people who just say, "Hey, we got you. You're an executive. We'll get you an executive home. We know your tastes," and you kind of concierge it. That's the
Hmm.
difference, right? So the realtor, if they're smart, they'll play concierge to the whole thing, and they'll understand, because they'll do an online kind of discovery, with the client, by saying, okay, see, like, it's not just a matter of wanting 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a den, right? It's
Right.
like, what do those bedrooms look like? Like,
Yeah.
can I put a king in it? And can I, and it better have all the amenities in it, the best tile, and I mean, all those kinds of things get talked through. And so you get this kind of ultimate vision of what the client wants. And so I honestly think you can come pretty close. I
Hmm.
mean, let's face it, there was probably a time where I know I've said it to myself, that I wouldn't buy anything online because I like the tactile feel of things.
Yeah.
But guess what? I've broken that ice quite a while ago, right? I mean, even clothing, right?
Yeah.
I've just broken that ice, right? I think you just have to think it through, and you have to, don't let the negative consume you, right?
Hmm.
And think about the probability of it being a really cool place or a really cool item that you bought, right? That's how
Yeah.
I look at
Well,
it. Like,
we're all drinking.
I'm a cockeyed optimist too, right? So,
You probably drink bottled water too, don't you?
yeah, for sure.
you know, uh, yeah, it's funny. My wife wants a house slash rental property in Hawaii,
Okay.
and so she's on every night, laying in
Wow.
bed, looking looking at properties, looking at everything about it, and
Wow.
she,
They probably don't, they probably don't even have a single case out there, I would think, out in the middle of the ocean. I mean, who the heck's there, right?
yeah, it's funny you say that. I think a week or two ago they may have had one case.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
but yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as you can get across on the plane ride without any problems, you should be good.
Right. Right. Well, I just had some friends in Thailand. They're coming back on the weekend.
Hmm.
So they'll be tied up for a couple of weeks, at least, in their own homes. But it took a while, I think, for anything to happen out there. I think I have a feeling they were in a pretty isolated place. So
Yeah.
it wasn't too bad. I know I've seen the pictures, and I was envious as hell every day that they that they
Yeah.
played pictures on Instagram. I thought, you beggars. Wait till you get back here.
Yeah. Back to reality.
Yeah, you're going in a cell. it's it's funny, when you think about, and it's funny, I realize, when you think about your house, you better like it.
Yeah.
Right? You better like it. When
Yeah.
you think about buying certain things or setting it up, you better like it, because times like this,
Yeah.
you're stuck with it. You know, I bet there's people out there that see things in their home they don't like right now, this over these last few weeks. I bet there's a lot of shift after it's done. They're going, I never liked that door. I didn't like that
Yeah.
wall. You know?
Yeah. But it's okay because trash day's Thursday.
Yeah, put it all out. No, they won't take away your house. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Funny. It's good to laugh, eh?
Oh man.
Yeah. The alternative's not very good.
No, it's not.
Oh man, gosh. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard, some days I wonder, like, what we all did to deserve this, right? But it's really funny. I never thought I would ever witness something that took the entire population of the world, like, at once.
Yeah.
Like, that is actually the kind of, if I sit back and on my quiet moment and think
Mm-hmm.
about that, that's disturbing,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no way out but the natural way out,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
It has to evolve away from
Mm-hmm.
us or take us with it, right?
Right.
Like, wow. And either way, it's gonna churn, right?
Yeah.
I hate to think. I hate to think of what the people that don't understand is happening to them. Like, the people that don't know, because there are people in the world who, just don't comprehend the things that are going on. They
Mm.
just happen to be living in a country there. It just is, they get up, they go do their thing and go to sleep, and that's it. And you don't think about anything, right? And
Yeah.
this thing strikes them. Really, really strange. Really, really strange. Oh well. I'm like, I'm not even fighting it, right? Like, that's all there is to it. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, for me, I've just said, okay, we're moving, right? Like, that's it. Like, like I say, I get up and I get dressed every
Mm-hmm.
day, shave, do whatever I have. I don't let myself go to pot. Don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and get up, and I made my new home here, and I'm not having dinner with any. Nobody's coming over for dinner, so I pulled out of my office and I put myself in this nice bright space here in my
Yeah.
dining room. I got the whole big thing, and actually, you know what? I kind of like it.
Well, and that picture, yeah,
Yeah,
that picture behind you, that's golden.
there's my picture. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. They got the sun, they got the art, they got
Yeah.
this open space. This something to be said for this, uh, having this kind of room to think and work in. That's for sure. I
Yeah.
feel unbridled. That's it. I think that's what I feel like. I just feel like super creative.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm in like a zone. And
Mm-hmm.
so even staying up like I did last night till 1:30 for my last call, it didn't seem troublesome at all. I don't know. You know, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've caught myself actually feeling a little bit guilty for enjoying the space and the time
Right,
and the
right.
just the and this is a weird word to use, but the freedom that I'm experiencing now because of just I don't have a schedule where I've got to really be anywhere. you know, as long as long as I'm cleaned up for my Zoom calls,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and
And that's the only schedule I really have, actually, is that, I mean, I have scheduled activity by virtue of building posts and content,
yeah,
and, strategizing and making connections and things like that. But really, when you think about it, I've spent less too. That's the other thing. Like
Notice that.
I haven't put gas in the car
Yeah.
in like nearly 3 weeks. Like, and I'm thinking like, that's gotta be really good in my bank account.
Yes.
You know, yeah, there's things like that, that you take for granted, right? My wife and I, we go for a walk every day
Mm-hmm.
and see some really cool things. Um, Not a lot of people. When they see you coming, they walk across the other side of the road like you've got the plague or something.
Did they
Like
do that? Did they do that before, or they just doing it now?
good question. They're definitely doing it. One of the things is they're 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 busting their butts to wave to you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing,
Yeah.
right? Whereas they didn't do that. They just go on their way or like they even muscle past you. But they definitely bust their butts to wave
Yeah.
at you to get your attention. And I'm thinking, wow, I think I was saying to somebody else the other day, I said, it's funny how a crisis uh,
Yeah.
brings some of the really cool things out in people, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I said also, why does it take a crisis to get you to figure out that you could jump on a Zoom call with a friend of yours in another part of the country or something, like, and you wouldn't even think about it if the day was normal,
Yeah.
right? But now everybody wants it. I think we always want what we can't, what's been taken from us, right?
Yeah.
So even though you talked about freedom, some of those freedoms have been taken from us, and we're fighting to get back at it. And it's troublesome for some people. Like
Mm-hmm.
my wife is having a little bit of, I mean, she had anxiety over the fact that, she didn't get to see the grandkids, didn't get to see her daughters, those kinds of things. That's, and not that I don't feel the same. It's just that I'm in a different headspace and keeping busy so that I don't fall into that little spot. But, she's got time in her hands. And this morning she had normally she goes and meets with her group of ladies that she hangs out and travels with. Well, their legs have been cut off, right? Because they're
Right.
not traveling anymore. So I call them the traveling Wilburys, but the fact is I got them set up and they did their first coffee Zoom call this morning. So I got them all set up and they're like, it's just a good old chin wag, between like 6 or 8 girls, right? But and it's funny that they still, it's not. I can tell she wasn't satisfied,
Yeah.
right? Because for her, it's not the same as when she go to the coffee bar and sit down next to it. Because I think they miss the touch,
Yeah.
right? Because if something or someone is meaningful to you, you'll probably touch them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the total human condition is that you reach out and you touch somebody, right? And
Yeah.
that's one thing that you miss, right? But however, you can still show passion and you can
Yep.
still show desire and all those other things, even at a distance. I think it's what makes the best of us, right? Because we have to try a little harder to, what shall we say, display ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
present ourselves. Try a little harder to be nice.
Be the brand.
Be the brand. Be your brand. Exactly. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I don't think I escaped that, you know, too easily. Like
I
I
don't think
think
you do either.
I think I do. I think if you see me in normal and face to face, and you get me
Yeah.
on Zoom, I mean, I'm the same guy. That's all there is to it. You got to come through. I actually done just as well on the phone because I'm kind of blunt and unabridged, right? And I think that if I have something on my mind, I usually say it, and that's generally welcome, you know.
Yeah.
And the people that it isn't welcome, I'm probably not talking to anyway.
Right. I think what I'm noticing, like for me, is I've had a couple of situations where they were uncomfortable, but I was basically forced into them by my wife.
Right.
You know, and it was one of them was, you know, we've got this friend that she she was having a virtual birthday, so there was social distancing. Well,
Right.
her name is Sarah, and there's this thing where she used to come out when my old band was playing, and we'd sing "Sweet Sarah Line" to her, and she'd get
Okay.
up, play tambourine, and all that. Well,
Right.
her husband talks my wife into talking me into going over and doing that, like in front of her house, doing a Facebook
Oh,
Live on that. Now, I'm not the singer of our band, you know.
right.
I'm the
Your
guitar
brother
player.
was actually right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was a singer, but it's just that is so uncomfortable for me to do something like that.
Mm.
But I did it, and my wife
Oh,
was
wow.
standing behind me with a bottle of wine and echoing da 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 da, you know. and,
Good
and it
for
was
you.
so funny because people were like, oh, we got so many comments online about that. And then
Yeah.
the next morning I got up, I thought, you know, that wasn't that big a deal. I think I'll go ahead and just do like, I think I'll hop on and do like a tutorial video on guitar.
Okay.
And and I got done with that. I was like, I realized at that point, it's like, I would not have done that tutorial video had I not put myself in that uncomfortable situation the day before.
Right.
But because I did, the next day seemed so much easier, and it just flowed, and it was actually fun,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And so that's what I think that's one of the big things I'm learning is just uh, to use this time to just push out of my comfort zone,
Right.
and meet new
Right.
people. And you know, I was just on I just did a podcast interview before this one with the she works for NBC Universal. You know, she
Okay.
does events
Right.
and all kinds of stuff. And I had
Right.
zero connection to her before I reached out on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, you've got some cool stuff going on. You want to do a podcast interview?"
Wow.
And she said, "Yeah." So I was like, you know, and it was really fun and really cool. And um, I think that's a lot of what we're seeing happen here is people
Yeah.
are just crossing over barriers that they would not have crossed over before.
That's true. That's true because ordinarily, what's funny is ordinarily you sort of go there and go meet someone,
Yeah.
and but then I mean, you and I are talking over this, over technology, and for all intents and purposes, it's a camera that's collecting us, right? And so we have
Yep.
to, but you and I are comfortable with one another, so we don't really care. And I actually don't even think about who else is potentially going to watch this or take a
Yeah.
look at this thing, because quite honestly, it's between you and me right now,
Right.
and that's it. So, and I think that's where you need to be, when you're doing these things. I remember the first time that I actually put myself on camera, like, oh
Mhm.
my god, like I cut myself up like so crazy, and your hair was a friggin' mess, and you misspoke 3 words, you had five ums and ahs before you said anything, like this is, just the stuff that you typically do.
Yeah, this is no place for a Toastmaster.
No. But you know what? I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I've done Toastmasters before. I don't want to be a Toastmaster when I'm talking to somebody or talking to a potential client or talking to a
Yeah.
collaborator or whatever, or a friend. Let's just kind of keep it clean. And I find that when you think of yourself in that same position, when you get on stage or you're up in front of a group of people,
Mhm.
talk to one guy.
Yeah.
Like, just talk to one guy, right? In your mind, like say something that you would to one guy, and like then find out. Wow. Because they'll
Yeah.
boost you, right? The crowd will boost you because like, hey, yeah, I got that. That's when you'll get these 5 or 10 people who'll say, hey, I know exactly what that guy's going through right now,
Yeah.
or I had one of those, but its wheels fell off, or whatever.
Yeah, that's the exact advice Willie Nelson gave on that.
Yeah.
Have you
Really?
heard this? Yeah, he's like,
Oh,
somebody said, how do you start a fire in an audience? And he said, I don't. I just pick one person and I light a spark with the one person, and
whoa.
they start the fire.
Neat. Oh my gosh.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Wow. That is for Willie Nelson. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
He might have taken a little bit longer to say that.
Okay. Now. Oh my God. My God. So this is it, right? We're Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know what the week's been like for you, but like I haven't gotten a hold of this one. It just kind of went
yeah,
like done.
yeah.
Like it's it's hard to believe how fast it went when we're stuck in that same place.
I know.
You think it'd be easier, but no, it doesn't get anywhere. That's for sure.
So
Wow.
are you doing anything fun this weekend?
I'm thinking if the weather stays the way it is, I know my wife's out there in the garden doing a few things. I might, because I got a deck to finish off.
Mm-hmm.
I laid the deck last year, but the snow fell just as I was starting to build the bar on the on the deck. So I might get to that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some kind of writing work to do because I've got a webinar that I'm moderating in a couple of weeks that I'm pulling some things together for. So I've got that to do. It's going to be a little different though. I'm not going to, this webinar is not arrive and then get told what to do kind of webinar. Right?
Yeah.
I hate those things. I tell my client, I said, like, fireside chat or not at all. Like
Yeah.
that's all there is to it. We're not, I'm not going to put a group of people together and start talking about, the ABCs of that or the 1, 2, 3s of that. I want to tell our clients what actually it feels like to go through this transformational thing that we're taking them through. I also want them to understand from us, from our experience, what will go wrong if you don't pay attention to this. But I want to do it in storytelling, and I want to do it in kind of like a storytelling exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally unpreparing the panelists and, in fact, the special guest, who happens to be a client of the client, which is great. And from that, I think we're going to glean a better value for the audience, the listening audience, because it's going to take on the form of a conversation.
Yeah.
That you might, it's the kind of conversation you would want to have if you were thinking about implementing the same software in your organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say, hey, this is the way to do it. Let nature take its own path.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a design on the speaking points, like just so that I know the fact that I'm moderating it actually helps because I can steer the conversation by how I ask the questions. And that's the important thing, right? It's like asking the right questions to bring out either the casualness or the icy, edgy, right? Let's face it. It's all in how I ask you. If I ask, "What's your name?" You go, "I'm not telling you." That's your natural response. Like who wants to know? But it's like, hey, what's your name? Like that. Like lay off it, right? That's the whole thing. People don't. Sometimes the art of conversation, like it's like disappeared as we know it. You do know that, right? But some of this is coming back because we're usually stuck on these things, right?
Yep.
Right? And I think some of that's kind of eked away from us because, we're doing this. I'm doing a lot more of this than I am on the phone. And so this is really good.
Well,
helps.
Yeah, and I think there's a dynamic that happens on these Zooms And I don't know if it's because of the technology or because of that, but I think we're in a sense forced to listen better because first of all, as you're talking, if I if I if you're not completely done and I interject before you're done, then it's just going to be this noise of because you're not going to have heard that I interjected, and I'm going to
I
be
know, just like
interjecting
that. See, we did it.
just like that, right on cue. the
I knew that would kill you when I did that. The other thing is, depending on the setting, the guy who makes the most noise is the picture that comes up, right?
right, yeah. Well, yeah, and mine are doing these. So I've got them side by side, but there's this little yellow light moves back and forth,
Right.
and it's a little distracting.
Very
You
distracting.
know,
Right up.
I honestly wish they didn't do that, but it's probably it's anyway. So the girl that I was talking to from NBC is a mentor for a thing called Kinetic Her, and what she's doing is she's mentoring other girls that want to be in her industry. And one of the things she was talking about, this girl's full of energy and just, it was not hard to interview her because I just asked a few questions and let her go. But she was saying that the things that she's probably mentoring the most on is networking. The young people don't know how to network today. And she's, talking about even starting like a program called the Art of Networking, to teach how do you engage, how do you listen, how do you ask the right questions, how do you you know it's the same thing you and I have deal with all the time in conversations, but it's just, I think sometimes we forget what we know.
Chad, I'm astonished that we're still having this conversation about networking and finding people that don't know how to do that. Like, I'm stunned by it. My threshold for understanding that is like, what? Like, I mean, I do it like brushing my teeth. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at an event. Oh, I'm going to talk to at least 50% of the people in this room, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. In fact, some of them, I may have, if I'd known that they were going to be there, I would have already checked out who they were, where they were from, so that I'd have some talking points probably already set in the back of my head. But yeah, I don't know. Wow.
Yeah. And 100% of them are, I did it to you.
Monty's still teaching guys how to put their picture on LinkedIn. So, like, come on, right. What are we talking about, right?
Yeah. Basics 101.
I know. So, what are you up for the weekend? You're not playing any gigs. I know that.
No, not doing that. Yeah, we're gonna actually, we've got some friends just down the street that are cooking steaks tonight, so we're gonna go over and stand about 10 foot away from each other and eat steaks.
Now, is that okay to do that? I wonder about that, like, because they're gonna have to come out, or they're gonna have to put the plate down and move away from the plate, right? Yeah. And then and then in comes the other guy.
Yeah. Well, the guy cooking is he's good, so I'm going to figure it out.
Okay. Well, you could always use paper plates.
Right.
I'll throw away.
Yeah.
And you have you could set up a big table, and you like take your turns, so that you're always 6 feet apart. Right. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
I know you'll come up with it. Anything to get the steak.
Yes. It's funny. I was thinking about this because this happened one other time to me when our first go at this kind of botched because of the technology, and part of that was on my end. But I thought about this. It's like, last time this happened, it was because there was information that was going to come out in the second one that needed to happen.
Yes.
And I feel that way about this one. I feel like
it's funny you said that to me because I know we had a different conversation last time, but in the week that's passed
Mm-hmm.
since we had our first that Skype call,
Mm-hmm.
so much has gone past us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so much has happened in such a short time that it changes your whole attitude towards what you thought about, even, what you spoke about, right? Like I'm thinking about, I didn't pull anything. And it doesn't matter. I didn't pull anything out of the last discussion, maybe
Mm-hmm.
except my David Boy line. I love that guy, right?
Yeah.
What can I say? I'm a sucker for a good musician, so that's for sure. And he was good people too. He's just genuine. And the thing is, for me, he was always, and I reposted him again this week because he was that guy that didn't let the world like determine who he was.
For sure.
This is what was cool. And I thought it was a really, really good time to repost. Like, don't let what's going on around you kind of, force you to being who you don't want to be. You might as well try something. Try another outfit on,
Mm-hmm.
cut your hair, be somebody that you want to be, like somebody that makes you really happy. And I think there are probably more people thinking along those lines today than there were even last week.
Yeah. So would you say what he was really saying was don't find yourself under pressure?
Changes. Yes. No. I think we're all under pressure. We're all under pressure. Yeah. Actually, I love it. No, but what was that? But I love how he ends. We can be heroes just for one day.
Right.
Can always be. I love that, man.
Yeah.
Like that's like crescendo. That particular song kind of eats me away when I watch him perform that. Like I go stupid. I go, like, my whole inner nerve system boils. That's how crazy. Like that's how much I really like this guy. Like he just my skin. I think I talked about. I always transform myself. If somebody's, I think I did say last time, when somebody's really good on stage, I transform. Like I go into their role.
Yeah.
I try and imagine what it's like to be there, to be in charge, and to be dishing it out, right?
Yeah.
And we're all the same, right? I mean, we literally are. It doesn't matter whether we're on a stage or whether we're one guy in an office, right? We've got like, hey, like you got to be in charge of like how you present yourself and, do your best for the day, right? And I'm finding more people stepping up these days too, which is, I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah,
I think there are more real human beings in the world than there maybe used to be, right? I think they're really getting in touch with themselves and sharing, and giving it to others. I like what I see. I almost don't want that part to stop.
Yeah.
The other nonsense could go away. And I think I even spoke to that in one of Monty's things. Like, I'm hoping that we'll hang on to some of the valuable things, that we found. They were sitting in front of us anyway, right? It's just like, let's face it, we just had to have a little bit of that happen to us. And I was like, oh, whoa, this is really good. Speaking nicely to this person instead of, calling them a fat bomb or something, right? Whatever, right?
Did you say fat bomb?
Fat bomb, yeah. Boom. A friend of mine, actually, she posted on her Facebook page. That made me laugh. She goes, so when this thing is over, does the 600-pound life, will those guys just call me? Will they get a hold of me, or do I have to do something? Because she's intimating that she's sitting home eating all the time and nothing else.
That's awesome.
I know. Gotta make light of every horrible situation possible, right?
Yeah, I heard a line it was on a TV show. It wasn't a song, but I'm like, I wonder if this is not a song, I need to write this song. And the line was, "It's too late to die young." I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah, that's what I thought too. It was like that.
Okay.
That's deeper than it seems on even on the front end.
What's he smoking?
Yeah. No, I don't ask what you don't want to know, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, buddy, listen, I actually have I have an interview to do.
Yes, you do.
In probably about 20 minutes or so. So from the coast, and then I'll have another meeting 3 hours after that for my weekly wrap up with my client in San Jose. So,
man, I appreciate your time.
It doesn't stop, right? Like I say, I remember this guy, this old client of mine used to say, he goes, he'd be up at 3 o'clock on the phone, and I'd say, "Peter, you're crazy," and he'd go, "Hey, somewhere in the world, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and people are getting up to go to work. And as long as I'm in the business of supply chain to that whatever that industry is, I know I got to be available if my client decides he wants to speak to me."
Yeah.
So, wow. Really. But that's us, right? I mean, I think about it today. I speak with Australia, I speak with India, I speak with the UK, and actually, if you do those Zoom things right and you get somewhere in the middle, you can speak to them all at once, which is amazing.
And if you're really lucky, you speak with Kansas.
We speak with which?
Kansas.
Oh, Kansas! Oh, yeah. Okay, Kansas. And
it's your lucky day.
Dorothy was from there, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Yep, Toto.
Yeah. And you actually don't need to click your heels because you are already home.
I'm already here.
Okay, buddy, listen, a lot of fun as always. Thanks, talking to you. Yeah. Keep those beautiful posts coming too. I love them when there's music, and you did the same thing with that beach. Like, you got a lot of attention with that beach. Mm-hmm. I think people were living vicariously through that picture, and then looking for good in a bad day, right? That's it.
Right on. Well, we'll do it.
Okay, man. Cheers.
Thanks, Peter.
Talk to you later.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
The music industry is drastically changing, and for the better. The power to have a successful music career is in your hands and no longer up to a few gatekeepers. The key is having the right information, the right tools, and committing to do the work. I want to help you jumpstart your career with my free ebook called Play Music, Make More. This free ebook is everything we've done with our own group, as well as what I've learned being an entertainment agent, and it's all played into the success we've had as independent artists. Visit playmusicmakemore.com to get your free copy today.